Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, a fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender. See you next year.
Hello and welcome to Deepdale Podcast, August 2020. Well, actually, this is going to be September 2020, isn't it? So I should really say, welcome to the Deepdale Podcast, September 2020, because it is September.
Take two, clap.
Well, it's, people quite like listening to me making complete cods of the entrancing.
Yay. Hello and welcome to October 2020. No, wait.
Is it 2020 or should we just pretend 2020 didn't exist and jump straight forward?
Welcome to the Deepdale Podcast for a month.
We could just say, welcome to the Deepdale Podcast for the year that we would have rather not exist.
For the year of weirdness.
It has been weird.
It's been a bit strange. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got no frame of reference. This is my first year here, so I just assume it's as weird as this all the time.
I'm not gonna answer that question in case I what is it? It's held up in court or something.
It's absolutely fine. This is just always the way that it is at Deepdale because this is my first year. I mean, if next year is any different, then that's fine. I'll review things.
Okay, but right now, this is your frame of reference is pandemic and flooding.
Pandemic, flooding. I mean, day 2 in the job I was in chest waders.
Yeah.
In a very, very cold, big puddle of water that was a bit like sort of wading around in a kind of a weak cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's great. That was Caroline just taking the Henry Hoover into the hostel. So apologies if you heard that in the background. We're sitting outside. It's blue skies. There's a little bit of cloud. It's not thing. It's not cold. It's not boiling hot either.
Lovely day, wispy clouds.
Yeah, a little bit of wind.
Yes.
We are on the coast. yeah, that'll be that apple cake you served us earlier.
Thank you.
We are in 2020. It's lovely to have you with us. You will have just listened to our beautiful new intro from Jess Morgan.
Yay!
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, that's fab. Lovely. I mentioned it to her a long time ago, and we never got around to doing anything about it. And then I messaged her, and she said, "I might get round to it at some point." And then about 3 days later, she said, I've done you something. That's fabulous. Thank you very much, Jess. That's lovely.
It's very
really
lovely,
kind.
and it feels very Deepdaling.
Yeah, I like the geese right at the beginning. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know where Jess found that, but I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
So that's Jude carrying glasses in the background. You can hear they're not glasses as in we're running a bar, which is disappointing, but they're glasses as in the team's liquid fare during the day, and it's not alcoholic, it's non-alcoholic, just in case you're worried.
Drinking. No. So, yes.
And that's Jude, who we have to say, "Hey Jude," every time we call him on the radio or across the courtyard.
I bet that in no way does that get annoying.
Well, he's very good about it if it does. He hasn't admitted that he's really annoyed. Jude, does being, "Hey Jude," get to you after a while, or are you sort of just got used to it now? Yeah, if you couldn't hear that because he's a bit away from the thing, he's just used to it. He looked resigned to it, I think is the right word. Yeah? You need to say happy birthday to your dad for me.
I will,
yeah. Yeah, you probably want to remember that.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Jude's dad.
I'll tell him, I'll say it.
Cheers. Jude is one of the few people in the team who have to duck to go into the doors.
He's tall, isn't he?
He's very tall.
He makes me feel like a shorty.
Yeah, and you're a lot taller than me.
Oh.
So, so there you go. So, what have you been up to?
I've been playing 4D chess this morning. 4D chess. It's a great new sport. We, I mean, do we, have we gone to sufficient pains to sort of lay out basically all the exciting things that are happening on the farm? So we are shrinking down the farm by about a third by surrendering some land that we rent. So we're reducing in size. We are taking of our remaining land, which is about 260 hectares. And for those who don't speak farmer language, a hectare is an area which is 100 metres by 100 metres squared. So we have 260 hectares of land, and we're taking of that space. We're taking.
You need to do it. Don't you need to do it in sort of parts of football fields or double-decker buses or something, just so everybody kind of. That seems to be the standard.
Right. So it's lots of double-decker buses. And we are taking, of that, we're taking 160 hectares or lots of double-decker buses, and we're putting those into environmental features, which include things like flower-rich margins, basically lots of lovely non-competitive grasses and flowers for pollinators, and then lots of another load of areas which will be wild bird seed mix. So we know that basically wild birds have lots of food sources during the year. At the time of the year like this, we've just had our swallows on the farm, and they've been feeding up on invertebrates, and they are basically now they've just left the farm, and they've
apart from one very sad one in the corner.
No, he's gone.
Oh,
we hope.
So maybe he's found some other mates to fly with.
Yeah, possibly caught up with the others.
You should have seen the clouds of them on the grain tower on Tuesday. It's just incredible. There were hundreds and hundreds of them.
They got the memo out. They're like, right, Team Swallow, we're meeting at the grain towers. We're setting off. Make sure you've taken advantage of the facilities, because there's no welcome break.
Have you done a pee before we get on the bus?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, we are going to Africa, actually. So So the birds on the farm at this time of year, they've got plenty of sort of food, but during the winter there's a lot less. So we're putting wild bird seed mixes in, which is basically a sort of some cereals, but also stuff like millet and quinoa and various other goodies, so that birds will actually have a source of food.
I can't think of quinoa without thinking of hipsters.
I know. You see, the birds on this farm are going to get to eat quinoa. We'll have it in a lovely salad with some pomegranate.
It's all very Clapham.
It is totally. But they will enjoy the quinoa, whatever, or kinunu if you prefer to pronounce it that way.
Okay.
Or quinoa. We don't know how it's pronounced. Sorry. These environmental features will be basically they are pretty much entirely just dedicated to wildlife. Now, what we have in the remaining 100 hectares are lots of buses, if in old money, is those
and
100.
A few football pitches, actually.
A few football pitches, some football pitches, or lots of buses.
Next time we need to got this right. We need to explain, like a 5 hectare is X number of football pitches.
Well, if you speak acres, 100 hectares is about 240 acres. Yeah. So that 240 acres, 100 hectares, is going to be, we're going to continue to farm that. So we're turning most of the farm over into environmental features, but we are going to continue to farm. And those 100 hectares are going to be broken up into 5 hectare plots. All of these plots are going to be 5 hectares in size, which is not massive, but that will let us grow a mixture of different bits and pieces, and it's all the work that we're doing on sort of soil improvement is basically we're moving the farm to a rotation which is focused on fertility building, resting the soil, bringing in lots of organic matter, and actually beer, growing lots of crops, including malting barley, which we hope we're going to make some beer with, including hopefully some interesting varieties of wheat, which we're hopefully going to get milled and make some lovely flour out of, which, it will be sort of exciting. And then beans and potentially oats and rye and various other goodies. And so in order for us to transition to this new way of doing things on the farm, we've enlisted the help of Stephen Briggs, who's a Nuffield scholar, which basically means very clever and learned chap, and a specialist in agroforestry, but also farms organically. And he's come in and helped us to put together a plan, which also helps us to do the other part of this big plan, which is that we are converting to organic. And so we had a chat with him this morning, and this is where the 4D chess thing comes into play.
And our brains hurt.
And our brains hurt a little bit, because we're working out basically where we're starting on the rotation with each of these plots that we have, where we're going to be putting in cover crops. And there's a blog post coming out about cover crops soon, about what they're about and what we've learnt about those so far, where we're going to be putting in other features for fertility building. Some of these plots are going to go into clover for 2 years. They're just going to be basically in clover, 2 years, just building fertility, building up organic matter in the soil. And we have to work all this stuff out. This is a very different way of farming for this farm. This is new to you and I. Organic conversion is an interesting process, I think, for anybody who's undertaking it. And we're jumping in with both feet, and it's incredibly exciting.
It is exciting, except, as I think we've said before on the podcast, there are times when I remember why I was not a good student at school, because there's only so much information that can go into my brain and be retained over a period of like 24 hours. And there have been a number of days where the learning curve is so great, which is probably just standard for any school pupil in one lesson, but for me, so great that my brain has just gone, not having any more of that.
I'm reminded of that line in The Simpsons where Homer says, it just gets worse and worse. It basically just says something like, he hates it because every time I learn something new, it pushes something else out of my brain. Yeah. And
I can actually feel it falling out of the ear and rolling down my shoulder.
I've forgotten the names of most of my
When I take my fleece
members,
off at night, I often find bits of knowledge sort of just lodged in there that have fallen out.
You got all that bits of knowledge stuck in your beard.
Well, that's quite good, because I can always use those later on.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's when you lose them into the washing that's nothing you can
do. Oh, darling, you've clogged up the dryer with knowledge again.
All these question marks, and they're very distinctly mine because they're badly drawn in my handwriting, and they're things. So, but it was fascinating this morning, and I did feel like we were beginning to comprehend what it is that we're trying to do and how we're going to do it, and I think it's such a different way of farming. And as I said to Stephen this morning, I haven't fully grasped how we're farming now. So kind of the fact that we're now learning how to do it differently is even more complicated. But I think I think we are onto a plan that could is going to work, and I think it's going to be really exciting, and I think it's going to really, really benefit the tourism side of the business, because we'll have these other opportunities. But the thing that really is exciting is that we could be producing Deepdale beer.
Beer.
And possibly, bearing in mind that both of you and I do like to do some sourdough, some Deepdale flour too, which would be very exciting. So that's the sort of stuff that we're kind of playing with at the moment. So we've got just so you understand, or just so I explain it and get told I'm wrong, which is possibly the more likely, there are different types of wheat. So there are wheats that kind of produce very good, just general wheat that can be used for things like animal feed. Then there are hard and soft wheats, which can be used for milling. And we have traditionally produced, for a long time, we have produced very good milling wheat. But Dad kind of fell out of love with that because there wasn't very much of a premium, and you can get really stung if you produce wheat for milling that isn't quite good enough quality, and you can find it sort of getting driven halfway across the country, and then you get charged for transport to take it somewhere else, and it all ends up being a bit of a mess. And because there wasn't very much premium in it, actually there's no point in sending the wheat off to do that, because you're basically taking a massive risk for a very little extra percentage. So we've been selling all of our wheat for the last few years as feed wheat. I'm sure that some of the grain traders have bought that, then gone, oh, that's quite good, and then sorted it into their pile that they're then going to sell onto the mill. That's fine. They can take that risk. That's cool. We know where we are.
Yeah.
But we've stopped growing barley on the farm haven't grown barley for quite a long time, and actually it'll be really nice to get back to barley, and because we're reducing the acreage, we then can produce enough barley to produce enough tonnage to allow us to have it malted locally, hopefully at Chris Maltings, then get bagged up as malt, which can then be bought by local brewers to turn into beer, and hopefully some of that will then come back here for us to consume when we're allowed to run events and through the supermarket, so that we can actually have that, which could be really exciting. And then you've been having great conversations with Leatheringset Mill, the water mill, haven't you, about taking our wheat to create flour.
Yeah, so we took over a couple of sacks of our wheat from this last harvest over to Leatheringset Watermill, which is just outside Holt, and it's a really, really beautiful spot. And Michelle, who runs the mill, was kind enough to show me around the place. And so Leatheringset Watermill is open at the moment on Fridays, I think, and they are selling their flour, and they've got all sorts of goodies in their shop. I don't know that they're doing tours at the moment, but they are open at the moment. It's a beautiful place, and they are the only still functioning watermill in Norfolk. And yeah, essentially, they are in a position they're going to do a test mill of some wheat for us, and we're going to get that back and make some cakes, and see if we can make some bread with it. But hopefully in future we can be producing some Deepdale flour, and people will be able to sort of buy that directly, knowing where it's come from, knowing that it's been grown naturally, as part of the sort of the new system that we've got coming in, and getting it traditionally milled using a water-powered mill.
It is exciting, and
lovely.
have it bagged up as Deepdale flour will be really cool. And the reason why that relationship began was that the guys who run the wood-fired pizzas company, wood-fired food company, who come to us once or twice, good pizza. They're here with us every Friday through the year, and then they're sometimes here with us on Sundays in the summer, and they're going to do Wednesdays in September, which would be really cool. Those guys took some of our wheat about 2 years ago, took it to Leatheringset, they milled it, and they put that into the pizzas. So it was very nice to kind of see that sort of cyclical thing, which got us thinking about kind of, Deepdale wheat kind of being used more widely. And then the Jack J show on Radio Norfolk that I'm often involved with, Michelle and I ended up on the same thing, and we hadn't kind of appreciated that we had the connection until we were on air, and then both of us went, oh, of course, the wood-fired food company. So it's just really nice, that kind of thing. And then now that you've met her, and we can kind of develop that relationship, and we kind of seriously think about it, and it gets, if we're in control of our own destiny with our own crop, then that feels like a much better place to be than just producing a crop and then selling it out onto the commodities market. So I'm really excited about there being a story, so that when you pick up that bag of flour in the supermarket, you will know that is, you can almost see the field from where you're buying it as to where that flour came from, and so that should be really lovely.
Yeah.
I think the other thing you and I are getting really excited about with this whole thing is kind of the showing of the farm to people, and the kind of the education side, and the open farm Sundays, and all of that kind of thing, which I think will be really, really cool as well.
Yeah, just really. I mean, it's been a little bit frantic recently with harvest and everything else going on, and we've been sort of irrigating crops, which we've not needed to do that because it's been raining a little bit. But hopefully we'll have a bit more time, and we'll be in a much better position to sort of open the place up and talk to people about what we're doing, and and the farm is going to look really quite dramatically different in future. If you look at the fields at the moment, you're seeing sort of fairly large fields. You're seeing sort of the fields going right up to the edges of the hedgerows. And with the way that the fields are going to be in future, we're going to have fairly sort of small plots surrounded by wildflowers. It's going to look really quite different, and there's a rationale and an explanation for all of this stuff and how it all hangs together. But it'll be really great to see this starting to come together basically from this month. I mean, we have essentially already entered organic conversion, and so we're already sort of getting clover lays into some of the fields that we can as soon as we can, and we're putting cover crops into other areas, and the work is starting right now. And I think if you look at the farm even just a year from now, it's going to look really dramatically different.
Yeah, well, you look at the cover crops we put in this year, and the incredible wildlife that's there, and anybody looks on our Facebook page or our Twitter feeds and they see the video that you took of the swallows just having a field day, absolutely loving it. And there's white butterflies everywhere, and there was bees, and the great thing is they're on the pollinator mix now above Parsons Bush, and because we cut the the cover crops at like 40 centimetres, I think, and basically lopped the tops off the ones that were going to seed. Now the pea and the clover and stuff underneath there is beginning to do some really interesting stuff. So it's just and this is year zero of our route into conservation, and the wildlife has gone insane in year zero. Month 3 of year zero. That's just absolutely awesome. So by the time we've got 160 hectares of that kind of growth around the farm all year round, the difference is going to be so dramatic. It's just going to be incredible.
Proof, if proof were needed, that really nature doesn't need a huge amount of time, and it doesn't need to be asked twice to sort of basically take advantage of good things if you make them available to it. And I've seen this before on there was a project I was involved with where there was a really sort of quite a long stretch of a river that I was working on, which was, practically all of the life in that river was destroyed by a sewage leak into the river. And you give it a little while, and the oxygen levels in the river build up again, and the invertebrates come back, and when the invertebrates come back, the birds come back, and nature doesn't need long, and it hasn't needed very long with this farm to take advantage. And the changes that we're making, even just a year from now, will be a quantum improvement even from where we are right now. And for me, it's just going to be heaven.
So we've had a lot of questions about whether we're going to be doing the conservation weekends this winter.
Yes.
And we've looked at it, and it's just not practical to do them in the way that we've normally done them, because we can't do this socialising afterwards, and we're not allowed to use the kitchen of the living or the living room of the hostel, and we can't really have big gatherings. So what we've decided to do is sort of knock the conservation weekends on their head. However, what we're going to do is we're going to develop a program of Wednesdays with conservation, and at the moment we've got 5 dates in January, February and March. Every 2 weeks we've got basically a conservation Wednesday, where that doesn't really ring, does it? We kind of need to come up with another word. Can we rename Wednesdays?
Why not?
Kensdays or something, conservation Kens. I don't know.
Wild Wednesdays.
Wild Wednesday, I like it. There we go. There we go. Excellent. So there we go. That was very easy, and a quick brainstorm done. And basically, what we're going to be doing is working on our 30 kilometres of hedging on the farm, and really getting that right. So that's going to be replanting, coppicing, and laying. And Nathan's walked every single metre of those hedges and made notes on every single one.
Yep.
And we're going to basically have a whole bunch of people on site just working on those. So if you want to join us for one of those conservation days, I'm going to feed everybody a bacon sarnie in the morning and a cup of tea. Then we'll do a ploughman's lunch, and then probably a cup of tea before we go home. And the idea, you'll all be nicely socially distanced in the open air, whatever the elements. So and it will be a lovely few days of work. There'll be Stephen and Nathan with their whips, making sure that everybody does the work. And you think that I'm talking about whips to go in the hedges. That's to a certain extent, but they also have very large cattle prods to make sure that everybody works very hard.
Well, yes. I mean, I prefer to motivate with a kind word, but
sometimes necessary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so that should be really nice conservation thing. And I'm really gutted that we can't do the conservation weekends this year, because the silliness in the evening after everybody has worked hard is great. But do come and join us. We'll put all those dates on our website, and we hope you'll come and join us.
Yeah, and if you've not done it before, and you're curious, we don't look for people to have a huge amount of experience. Because a lot of our existing volunteers that will be coming back, they really know what they're doing, but we'll take the time with you to make sure that you know what you're doing. Some of the work can be a little bit more physically demanding, so you can really put your back into it if you want to, but if you want to do something a little bit more straightforward, every so often someone shows up and they've got a bad back, or they're not feeling entirely up to it, we can find different jobs for people, but we have masses of work to do on our hedgerows. and that's going to be a mixture of different things. And we'll show everybody, what to do with that and make sure that everybody's happy. One of the most important things is that when people come along to do these conservation days, to do these conservation weekends, it's actually really important that we're doing a proper job of what we're doing, because I don't want to have to go around and redo everything afterwards. So, we do actually make sure that we're doing a decent job of things. But apart from the hedgerows, in the future, increasingly, we'll have more work to do in the woodland, and there's going to be various different things to do around the farm. We've got some ponds to restore. There's masses and masses to get into. There's going to be no shortage of work.
Yeah, so watch this space. Look on the website, and we'll keep everybody informed. You can look on either deepdalefarm.co.uk or deepdalebackpackers.co.uk, and there will be information about those. I'm working on it at the moment, so watch this space, and we will get them listed and updated. So we really hope people can come and join us. So much work to do, so much nature that's desperate for that work to be done. So really excited about that.
Yes, and if you take a look at the website, but also follow what we're doing on Twitter. We're trying to push out plenty of stuff about what we're doing on our social accounts. So you can find us Deepdale Farm on Twitter. You can look for Deepdale Farm on Facebook. You can follow Deepdale Farm on Instagram. We try and share pictures and videos of what's going on around the farm, and go and follow us and see what we're up to.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Lovely to chat with you.
Yes.
And look forward to seeing that cover crops post.
I've got to go and play some more 4D chess.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Counting bags of seeds and working out various different things. And
I love the fact that we're kind of having to bake with some of this stuff, of coming up with recipes of what we're putting on each field and all that sort of stuff. It's quite exciting.
Lovely. It is like cooking.
Yeah, it was like talking to a master chef today when we were talking to Stephen Briggs.
Yeah,
because he was like, you need a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that,
a little bit of the white mustard, bit of the lucerne, throw in a little bit of the red clover there. Top it off with a sprinkling of late flowering perennial ryegrass, and mwah!
And the bees will love you. Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you, man.
Cheers.
And we will talk next month.
Yes.
Well, you and I will talk a lot before then, but we will talk next month. So cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I am here at the pop-up shops that we have at the back of Dalegate Market. There's people pottering around, and I'm going to have a chat with both Paul and one or two of the others, depending on who's prepared to have the microphone put in their face. Paul is always happy to have a chat on microphone, whereas some of the others are less keen. I think Di is running into the distance as we speak. So tell me, Paul, what do you sell?
Landscape photography, mostly Norfolk scenes, mostly North Norfolk coast, so this is the ideal place for me to be.
And what inspires you when you take? Do you kind of go out for days purposely to take photos, or do you kind of see something and go, "Oh, got to get the camera"?
It's a bit of both, really. I mean, I love really dramatic skies, so if there's big storms coming, I will storm chase. But often there's, it's just the right place at the right time. I mean, there's a shot there of the poppy field, which actually I took 3 or 4 years ago while I was at the pop-up shop. I found out that the poppies were there, and I'd waited 4 years for that one field to have poppies in. So it is a game of patience sometimes, but that's sold well, that one, so it was worth it.
And what brought you to the Dalegate Market pop-up shops?
Well, it's been a tough year for all of us. So I just was desperate to get out and meet people, and also to support you guys as well. This year more than ever, it's about the independent businesses supporting each other, and obviously the customers and visitors supporting those independents as well is massively important.
And we've seen you at Dalegate before, haven't we, for various other bits and pieces and pop-up shops in the past?
You have, yes. I think this is my 4th year of the pop-ups. It might even be 5, I'm not sure. So it's always a lovely place for me to come. I love being here, whether it's pop-ups or spring market or Christmas market. It's always a pleasure to meet the visitors and customers.
And Estelle manages the pop-up shop, so she takes all the bookings and sorts all the various arrangements out, and they've got a good one-way system so that people can come in and have a look and then pot around and keep their social distancing. Lots of hand gel around. So if you are popping in, the pop-up shops are open right through till the end of October, and then they'll be open again for the weekends prior to Christmas. Di's actually said hello. It means she's on the podcast. So there we go. Shock horror. But yeah, if you're popping past this way, then they change over on a Wednesday, so you won't necessarily get any shopping on a Wednesday from these 4 pop-up shops. They change on a Wednesday, so they're open from Thursday through till Tuesday, and all local artisans and producers. So we've got another 2 months of them still to come this year, plus the time near Christmas. So you're welcome to pop in and see who's here. All of them are listed on our website at dalegatemarket.co.uk. So tell me who you are.
Di Woodburn, Creaky Crafts.
What sort of stuff do you sell?
I sell a lot of sea glass jewellery and some other bits and bobs, but mostly sea glass.
And been an interesting year?
Very, very interesting year. All I've done so far is 2 pop-up shops, nothing else. So, been interesting.
All the other events cancelled, sadly, and gone by the wayside. But is it going well here?
It's going very well here, much better than I thought it was going to go, actually. So I'm really pleased. So I didn't know whether people would want to buy or want to touch things, or I don't know. Just have to try it and see.
Yeah. And Di's a regular of our spring market and Christmas market in the past, and normally in the pop-up shops as well. So hopefully she'll be back then. Have you got any more pop-up shops before the end of the year?
No, nothing. Nothing other than at the moment possibly a week at Blakeney, but not until the end of October. So who knows? Just take it as it comes, really, now.
Yeah. Well, if you're coming past this way, then you definitely need to pop in. There's fantastic fridge magnets of local maps and coasters and little bees. What are the bees? Are they earrings, or what are they?
The bees are cards with sayings on. Be happy, be cool, be kind, be whatever.
Very good, very good. Yeah, and Di helped us put together our Christmas hampers for the team last year. They put in some Christmas badges and some key rings and that kind of thing. So that was lovely. Do pop in and see this stuff. What inspires you?
Norfolk inspires me. The sea glass inspires me. But it's not just sea glass, but sea glass is my main focus. The only shame is that I can't pick it up on the beaches here. So most of my sea glass comes from County Durham, because that's where the Victorian glass factories were.
Got you.
So
got you. So you have to follow where they dumped the glass.
Yeah. So I have to tell people, and they look at it and say, "Oh, it's found on the beach." I always have to say, "But not the beaches here. You could search for hours here and maybe find one piece if you were lucky." So, yeah.
Ah, interesting. Got you. Yeah. So if you want sea glass, go near where the old Victorian glass factories were. There you go. But Di's not going to tell you that, so that's fine. Cheers, Di. Thank you. I'm standing in one of our pop-ups. It's the green one, which is James's favourite pop-up shop. He's been here before, and he is running his own little pop-up studio. Tell me a bit more about what your work is.
Well, what I do is I paint what's pretty much a naive contemporary pictures. They're all penguin based, and it's really a matter of trying to get your own feelings and life experiences through a penguin shaped mirror.
Nicely put. And why penguins?
It's an animal that I've just absolutely loved since I was a child. I mean, all my friends at school like the tigers, the sharks, all the cool animals. I've always loved penguins. A bird that can't fly. What's not to be fascinated by?
Yeah, we've got one or two of your pictures at home, and I love the one with the penguin holding the umbrella out for the other penguin. You know, that's just fantastic. I do love that. It's great. And then, what brings you here?
This is a fantastic opportunity to actually get out of the studio, set up a studio elsewhere, right in the middle of where the public are, letting them come and see, spending more time talking than painting, if I'm honest. But absolutely loving the interaction. You can spend weeks stuck in a studio painting away, and you're never quite sure if you've taken yourself down a direction that maybe not working. But when you're out here and you're talking to people, the affirmation is great, the conversation is great, and the sales do help.
That's good. And how's the weirdness been? You've been keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, I think lockdown for artists was normal. I think the thought of not going out and being stuck in a one place is something that I think we've all been training ourselves for years. So that wasn't too bad. And still having an online presence helps, because everybody during lockdown goes onto the internet to find you. But it's great now we're out and about and you can finally be kind of mask to mask with the people again. It's been really good, and this is the first day, and already it's been really well received.
That's good. Well, welcome back. And you'd normally see James at the Christmas market, but of course not this year. So fingers crossed for future events, and we'll see what the future holds and where we go next. Come and visit James and his penguins in the green pop-up at Dalegate Market. If you happen to miss Paul Macro, Creaky Crafts, artwork by James Butefant and the Cushion Cottage, who were some of the guys that I just interviewed, then they will be back with us from the 13th to the 15th of November. It's an extra date. Di had said that she wasn't back again this year, but they've actually, we've booked in an extra date, so the 13th to 15th of November. Of course, the pop-up shops are open every week, all the way through till the end of October, and then weekends in November, December. So you can pop on to dalegatemarket.co.uk to find out who's coming when, and there's some really lovely artisans and producers joining us. The changeover day is Wednesday, so they're not always fully open on a Wednesday because they're setting up, but then they're open from Thursday through to the following Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you. Pop in and see them. So hello, Georgie.
Hi, Jason.
Are you all right?
Yes, are you?
Yes.
It's a weird day today. The weather's not quite, it's
sort of
autumnal.
Warm. It's sort of warm and sort of, you can't really make its mind up what it wants to do today.
And it's darker at the moment as well, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not, sunny and summery like it has been. It's almost like September.
But it's too
is
warm
hitting.
to wear a fleece almost. I know
Yeah.
you
I'm
feel the
always
cold in a different way.
though,
So yeah.
I will always be wearing a fleece. It's my permanent state. But yes, no, it's autumn.
So we're sitting in the sitting room.
Yeah.
You will have already listened to the wonderful new little podcast starter music from Jess Morgan, which is fab. Thank you,
First is
Jess.
the debut of that track for this, isn't it?
Yeah,
First
it's
one.
quite scary. Really. I've realised I'm just leaning backwards and my beard is sort of scratching on my microphone, which is not very
Same,
professional.
I always have that problem. I always have that problem with my beard.
The bearded lady. And it's we've got some interviews with some of the
Quite a
pop-up
lot of
shop
content
guys.
this time. I think we're going to have
Yeah.
to keep our bit brief because we've got some chats with the people from the podcast, and some discussion, which I think with Nathan about what's all the stuff that's going on on his side with the farm.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And we've got quite a lot of events happening as well, which is a real...
Yeah, we've got a lot
which is
to
great.
to
of
kind
ram
of
in.
cram
So,
into a short space
let's
of time.
leap straight into it. You know.
Okay, so Houghton Hall, the Amish Kapoor event. I was quite excited to talk about that. Sorry, I know you mentioned it, but I'm getting in there first with that because I'm really excited to see this. The Damien Hirst event that was at Houghton Hall has fairly recently, kind of early this year, I think, finished, and Amish Kapoor is now there. I've heard some of my friends have been, and they've given me really, really good reviews, so I'm really keen to go. I went to the Damien Hirst exhibit, but I haven't been yet to the Amish Kapoor. And now that it's kind of quietened down on the Norfolk coast ever so slightly, a lot of the children are back to school and things like that. I'm hoping it might be a good time to go. Maybe next.
The nice thing is that,
weekends.
like, even in these weird times, like, there's so much space in the Houghton Gardens where the exhibition is, that actually it's really easy just to kind of almost be there with and think nobody else is there, and because they're doing time ticketing and
Absolutely,
stuff.
and it doesn't feel as strange. I like going to events and going to places where you don't feel like you're surrounded by people that are, you know, you don't feel like you're surrounded by people, and therefore you don't feel like everyone's adhering to the rules because it's, you know, it's a global pandemic at the moment. When I go into the supermarket, it feels weird, okay? So I like being able to go to the beach and I'm not surrounded by people with masks. It's just me and my dog, maybe a few other people and some fresh air.
Yeah. No, it's good. And the Amish Kapoor, the thing I love about the way that Houghton does their outside sculpture is they go for big stuff.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
go hard or go home with their stuff,
exactly.
don't they?
And so they started with just a few small pieces. No, they weren't small pieces, but a few pieces around the site. And then they've done big things like the Henry Moore, which I absolutely loved at the Henry Moore exhibition. I'm a sculpture fan at the best of times, but Henry Moore just does it for me. I didn't go and see the Damien Hirst. He's
not for you.
He is not. He's
That's
not
fine.
my
That's
artist. But the Amish Kapoor stuff looks amazing. It's like sort of sky mirrors and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So I really like the idea of all of that. I think that's really exciting. So that's really cool. Of course, the pop-up shops at Dalegate are going on, and
They're going strong as well. You know, they're still really busy.
And Estelle's booked all of them right through till Christmas, which is just awesome. So I think we've only got a couple of weeks between now and Christmas where we haven't got pop-up shops.
Yeah.
Because there's been so much demand for them. Of course, so many of the people who come into the pop-up shops haven't got other events to go to, so they're all sort of booking pop-up shops. So that's really exciting. So we've now got a whole series running through until Christmas. So basically they change every Wednesday. So if you come on a Wednesday, you might find some pop-up shops, but on the whole, the pop-up shops are open from Thursday through till the following Tuesday. Really, really wonderful local artisans and producers. You'll find all sorts of interesting stuff, and it's a great addition to the regular shops that we have. So
I was
really
about to
worth
say
coming
the regular shops, we mustn't overlook them because
No,
you know
absolutely.
they're always there, but obviously they are selling some really quirky stuff related to the coast, related to Norfolk generally, nice gifts, just generally the area. It's beautiful to take a walk around. We've got some really lovely places to eat, including some of the caterers that we have. At the moment we've got on Wednesday night we've got the Wood Fired Pizza Company, and the same on Friday night. This Saturday or Sunday?
We did have the Egyptian guys.
Oh yes, yeah.
And we're sort of having conversations with them about sort of whether we could kind of book them in for future. So watch our website. This is a street food page, and you know, keep an eye on that, and hopefully that'll update you for other stuff.
What I'm saying is
cool.
there's plenty. You can come, you can take the dogs for a walk, you can come for a walk with your family, do some bird watching, do some shopping, get some food, and support some local like producers and artisans and stuff.
It's lovely,
as well.
isn't it? It's really nice.
It's a good place to
and
be.
sort of other things to look forward to are you know, this sort of other events are beginning to happen. You know, the guys in the glass studio are doing their glass workshops. So that's in Driftwood Glass Studio, which is on Dalegate Market. You know, you can come in and do those. But the one I'm really looking forward to is the Norfolk Churches sponsored bike ride.
Yes.
Where it's a great opportunity to just go and visit a huge number of Norfolk churches. You don't have to be religious. You just have to appreciate that these buildings are, well, there's so many of them in Norfolk, and they are, you know, they were built by people by hand, and some of these buildings are just truly impressive.
Like you said, you don't have to be religious. You can be interested in. It's a brilliant opportunity. I have done it once many years ago, like when I was much younger, and it's a brilliant way to see see areas of Norfolk that you've not been, really small villages that you go, I've never even heard of that place. Yeah. And they've got really interesting architecture, history and surroundings around them. And you get to use that bike that you bought on a whim in lockdown and haven't used since then.
That's very true.
You know.
That's very true. And you also get, like, most years there's some really interesting places that never open. So little churches that have kind of plague churches where the village was moved because of the plague, you know, burnt down, and the church remains, often aren't open to the general public, and often they're manned during this. There's some ruins that are open, you know, that sort of thing, which is really worth doing. So that's the Norfolk Churches sponsored bike ride. If you go onto our website, you'll see it. It's listed under September, and you will find all the links you need for sponsorship. You know, there's a link to which churches are open. Like St Mary's Church here in Burnham Deepdale is open, so you can definitely go in and see that. And if you're not riding for a Norfolk church, basically the way it works is that if you ride for a local church, you some of the money goes to that church, and some money goes to the general Norfolk parishes. So if you aren't riding for a church, then please ride for St Mary's Church in Burnham Deepdale, because then Burnham Deepdale Church will get some of the percentage of things. So if you download your forms, please put St Mary's Church Burnham Deepdale as your place of church you're supporting, if you're not already supporting somebody else. Sorry, just thought I'd get that in.
Jason isn't being paid to say that.
No, but my mother will be very happy with me as a church warden, so she'll be very happy. So parts run right through. What else have we got on the list? Let's have a quick look. Sorry, I'm scrolling down here and think. Yes, the Norfolk Coast Dark Skies Festival.
Yes, you mentioned. I don't know how I forgot about that.
No, we talked about that about 10 minutes ago, and then we managed to forget.
I got distracted talking about food.
and my dog wanted love, so you know, Maple wanted love. So
people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So this one, normally it's a 2-week festival. Normally it comprises of a whole lot of kind of big group events and all sorts of stuff. Of course, COVID kind of played
things.
Yes, it's sort of
strikes
edited. But it's instead what they're going to do is they're doing more of a sort of an online event that they really want people to get involved with for 4 days, from the 23rd to the 26th of September. And it's the idea is that you sort of watch the websites and the Twitter and all that sort of stuff to see what you can be seeing out there. They'll give you sort of advice and things, and then whether you've got a pair of binoculars or a telescope or whatever, the idea is that you can go out and enjoy the night sky, really enjoy that, and then share what you've seen to other people. And it's a really nice idea. It's a really good way of making an interactive event in weird times. But
to continue, because it is something that a lot of people really enjoy, the Dark Skies event. So to not be able to do it would be such a waste. So although for some people it might not be the same, for other people you might find that you actually, because everything has been made really accessible by the fact that it's online, you might find that you're actually able to maybe get involved a little bit more than you normally have done. So give it a go. If you've not tried it before, give it a go. And if you've done it every year, then try it this way. You might prefer it.
And on a clear evening, you will be amazed about what you see up there. You just have to take the time, find a hammock, find a chair, find a deck chair. Just look up and look at those skies and watch what's up there, because it's incredible. And I love it when people come here and kind of go, oh my God, so many stars.
Yeah.
Because they're used to
we
so
take
much
it for
light
granted,
pollution.
don't we? Living by
do.
the coast, you do take it for granted. But if you don't live by the coast, or it's not something you can see so clearly, so many things that you'd maybe not normally be able to see.
And we're open, you know, lots of other places are open, so you could be here over that weekend and see the skies. It is actually the weekend when our festival would have been.
I don't want to talk about that right now, Jason.
But it'll be a great weekend to come and just sit outside a motorhome, look at the sky, see the amazing stars, see if you can see the Milky Way, you know, all of that kind of stuff, and or take a walk down on the coastal footpath and just sit in the grass on the side of the coastal footpath, looking out at the incredible
fresh air. Honestly, it's underrated.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just,
and it's a great way if you're feeling a bit stressed in these weird times. Good thing. I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were a bit stressed, and I said, just go down to the beach and scream at the sea. The sea is a really good listener.
So many times, I still haven't given it a go.
Oh, you have to. If you're having a bad day, really good way. The sea is very forgiving and a good listener.
There's going to be so many people listening to this podcast and going, oh, that was Jason that we saw the other weekend doing that.
Yeah, no, I'm pleased to say I haven't needed that for a little while.
Not recently. Surprising, actually.
Yeah, in moments, in moments. And things like the farmers markets are ongoing. They're slightly different in the way they're organised, but you've got things like Fakenham Farmers Market are going on, and the Docking local produce market, that sort of stuff. So it's nice to be having stuff actually happening.
Yeah.
And not that sort of big list of stuff that isn't happening.
Might still be strange, in terms of walking around seeing everyone wearing face masks, and we do still ask, everyone still asks you to maintain social distance and things like that. But this time of year, it's a bit easier to do that because the children have gone back to school. It's still quite busy on the North Norfolk coast. I think some people are trying to get the most out of the sunshine while they still can. But there's so much to do. There's so many places to go and visit and see, that you can still socially distance and enjoy the place. So
yeah, and of course the geese arrive soon.
I know, I'm excited for those because the swallow have left now, haven't they?
Yeah, that is really sad. The swallows leaving it's a bit of a sad point in the year.
They're really, really beautiful, but for me, them leaving is like it's their way of saying, we've done our bit now. The geese are going to come, because the geese for me, like, say autumn, I've got so many memories of leaving this place when it's dark out and maybe the Christmas lights are up or whatever. Sorry, I said the C word, everyone. The pumpkins are out or whatever. I'm a big fan of autumn, and for me the sound of geese is just like autumn.
Yeah, and if you've never seen them, you need to see them.
It's really impressive.
They are
genuinely
amazing.
Not just saying it because of the
but
podcast.
With tens and thousands of geese filling the sky, the noise is incredible, and it just, it is a natural phenomena, and it's just amazing. But I think watching the swallows gathering before they went was also like a really amazing thing, because they were sitting on every little ledge of the grain towers. There were just thousands of them,
and the picture that we got as well, there are 5 little babies
the Caroline
lined up.
took with the five lined up list, thinking, is it time to go now?
It really does. They almost look stuffed. They're just absolutely, for this picture, they are just sat perfectly. And there was one left, wasn't there, that was a little bit
We were a bit worried about that one. There was last week, wasn't it? Went. Everybody else had gone.
They went.
There was one,
it.
And it was like, okay, are you going? But then the next day it had gone. So fingers crossed, it found some other mates.
Made it.
And it's on its way.
Yeah.
But it was a bit sad because we were like, oh, there's one left. That's very sad. Did you not get the memo?
What's going to happen? What's going to happen on?
Yeah, it's like, everybody else has gone out for the staff dinner, and you're the only one in the office. It's not good. So fingers crossed. They will all be back, because they had an amazing year, the swallows.
Yes.
They really did.
I don't think I've seen a nest of 5 before. I've seen nests of 3 and 4, but not 5. So that was really quite
And they
cool.
absolutely loved having the courtyard to themselves.
Yeah, they got a little bit. I think they were probably a bit put out when we came back in early July, but
Yeah, but they also absolutely loved the amount of food they had from all of the invertebrates and insects and stuff that we're enjoying our cover crops. So. That was really lovely to see, because this is sort of year 0 of our changes,
and you're already seeing the benefits.
And the changes were incredible. Like seeing the swallows just absolutely just dive bombing those crops, just loving it, was just amazing. So it's going to be really interesting
when you've got more swallows than you can handle.
Exactly, and they were nested everywhere.
Yeah, they were.
They were literally.
They found some really creative places for them.
They love the swing. There's a wire that runs through one of the sound wires
under
that's
the
in
courtyard.
And it's like a swing, and they were showing off their sort of dexterity by sort of swooping in, landing on that, and then swinging backwards and forwards, and having a lovely time, and then shooting off. It's very cool. It's they do look amazing, and it's just lovely to have them here. And so it's very sad to see them go, because it is kind of the end of the summer, but
equally noisy
really
and equally
nice.
Plentiful geese.
Yes, exactly. The geese are coming,
Yeah.
and it's so nice to have so many motorhomes with us. It's lovely. They're all really enjoying the space.
It's a really nice atmosphere. I say that every podcast. Every podcast it's probably changed though. So last time it was slightly more, it was livelier than it is at the moment. Now I think a lot of the people that are here are very much the people that are looking to get the last bit of kind of summery almost weather, while it's a little bit quieter. So it's a different atmosphere, but it's a really, really nice one.
Yeah, no, it's and we've got September's going to be hopefully a lovely month, with some good weather. We'll be planting up some more crops, some more flowering crops around the farm. There's lots of wildlife coming on. It's a really great time to come and do bird watching and wildlife watching on the North Norfolk coast. So, and there's more space, and it just feels feels nice. So,
if you're feeling particularly there, I think the lockdown and the global pandemic seems to have, split the country almost, in terms of some people that aren't maybe taking too much notice in terms of what, some of the guidance, and some people that are taking a lot of notice and feeling quite anxious about it. And this is a brilliant time for the latter half, for the people that feel really quite anxious, or maybe people that need to take more care with social distancing. This is a great time to come.
Yeah, this is a good, it's a good place to escape the crowds and get away from it, and and it's calm on the site, and it's
really,
just it's good. So what you've got anything major planned in the next couple of months? Anything big?
Well, I went recently at the weekend and did some paddleboarding for the first time. I did it in Burnham Deepdale. It was such honestly. It was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. So I want to do that a couple more times, see whether or not maybe it's worth investing in a paddleboard.
Well, I wanted to mention a massive thank you to the incredible Pantaloons guys.
I knew you were going to say that, the Pantaloons, yeah.
Yeah, because the first one that we had, the Sherlock Holmes on the 22nd of August, was just we love having the Pantaloons anyway. They're a great bunch. 4 actors playing many parts in very silliness in plays. They find the humour in anything from Shakespeare to far more deep and dark things. But it's just great. They really are funny, and they're very entertaining. And they came out, and after all the hassles they'd had of having to cancel and change
and rebook,
and then they got 2 dates with us. So they got the 22nd of August, when they brought Sherlock Holmes, which was really funny, really, really funny, very enjoyable, beautiful weather, lovely evening to watch it. Then they came on the 28th, and it was like a different part of the year entirely, and it was only 6 days later. And we started by thinking it was going to be rain all the way through, and then it was dry when they started. So we were thinking, oh, fantastic, this is really good. And about an hour and 15 minutes into the play, they'd removed the intervals so that there wasn't sort of mad rushes for toilets and stuff, and they had reduced the length of the plays anyway, so to meet with COVID. They had probably 20 minutes left of the play to go, and it became biblical.
The heavens opened.
It was... I had waterproof trousers on, a waterproof jacket, my big Akubra Australian hat, and I was still soaked. And the water and the hats off to the actors, who just were amazing. They stopped when it really hit, because I walked out into the car park, and I could see the trees over in the Rectory Wood suddenly just went left and right, like sort of probably swung by about 40 degrees,
really?
Just as the wind hit them, and I thought, oh God, we're in trouble.
Oh God.
And I went back into the thing, and it just came in, and it just went bam. And it should have been the Tempest they were doing. They weren't. They were doing 12th Night. And it was, and there was one point where they were literally holding onto the stage because they were going to blow away. Both the audience and the actors stopped for a little bit, and the actors said, do you want us to carry on? And I'm not sure how happy they were when the customers went, yeah, that would be great. And I'm not fully certain that the actors were pleased about that, but
they were troopers.
They were troopers. They made it through the play, despite the fact that they had to do a little bit of ham acting just to cope with the conditions.
See, part of me kind of thinks, when you're wet, you're wet. You're not going to get any.
Really, and I felt for them. And I
was surprised actually that the audience wanted to carry on, because I was going to ask, sure, there must be a lot of people then, but have no idea what happens in the last 20 minutes of 12th Night. But no, good going for the audience.
I was impressed. The audience, hats off to them for staying, and
I guess
also hats off to the.
Although you got some quite impressive weather, then you're quite lucky that you were able to make so much of it in the dry.
Yeah, no, it's true. We more than 3/4, I think, of the play were done in the dry.
Okay, well that's good.
And the the act, Pantaloons sort of always say, look, we cope with whatever the weather is. We're not fair weather guys, and that proved without a shadow of a doubt that they aren't
Good
fair weather
going,
guys.
Pantaloons.
Yeah,
Well done.
good job. So I'm really looking forward to having them back next year.
Yeah.
And we're because we're re-roofing the barns.
Yes.
We're hoping that we'll be able to do some indoor theatre through the winters and stuff as well. Which
have
would be
some more
quite cool.
versatile kind of event.
Yeah, so that should be really good, and it'd be really nice because they do indoor events through the winter, and quite a lot of other touring companies do as well. So hopefully we'll see a bigger program of theatre at Deepdale, which would be really nice.
Fantastic.
So that'd be really cool. So that can sort of be in sort of line with our live music stuff as well, which would be really cool. Because live arts just is something really special about that.
Yeah.
So, but,
absolutely.
well, thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
I have to mention that Nathan and I were on the United We Ag podcast, which is a podcast done by a lovely American guy called Derek, and he's a farmer and he also runs this podcast. And so he was chatting to us about the future of Deepdale and what we do and our plans of going organic and all that sort of stuff, which was great fun to do. But one of the things he really loved was Simon's top fives.
The hammock.
Yes, and he particularly loved the hammocks one because his brother was a massive hammocks fan and was so excited about it. So so I've commissioned Simon to do some more top fives, which I'm hoping will pop up at various points. So you never know.
Oh, bless him! I can feel the pressure for Simon. It's like, God, he's going to have to start doing research and all sorts.
Well, the research he'd done into the hammocks was although I know a lot of that was in his head because he loves that subject.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't think he struggled too much with the beer one either. I think he found that relatively easy to do.
I would have thought so. There are probably he's very knowledgeable on a lot of stuff, so I can imagine there will be quite a few things that he'll be able to give you a very educated opinion on the top 5 stuff. So I'm quite looking for. I'll probably pick and choose. Like, I don't drink, so beer isn't really my thing. But yeah, when he starts talking about different types of, like top 5 walks on the Norfolk coast and stuff, he's heavily into walking.
Yeah, because he does love his
walking.
So there may be one in this podcast.
Oh,
but I haven't received it yet.
God,
so
even I'm not allowed in on the sequel. What the hell?
I'm not promising to anybody who's listening that there will be one, but there may be one.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So I'm just putting the proviso in. So we should probably.
I was going to say that's an incentive to listen to the end, isn't it?
Well, maybe what we should do is we should record 2 bits where we say, and of course this will be the top 5 from Simon just coming up, or I'm really sorry that Simon hasn't managed to do a top 5 for this time.
He's not got around to it this time. He's been too busy doing research and getting drunk on beer.
That's maybe harsh, but
It's good research.
So we'll see what happens. You never know. But yeah, it was just he was really chuffed to be name checked in an international podcast about his top 5. So that was really cool.
Good going, Simon.
Well done. Good job, Simon. Thanks again, Georgie, and we'll chat again soon.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you later.
Okay, cool.
So thank you for listening for the Deepdale podcast. It's really lovely to have you with us. It's really enjoyable doing this, and it's great that we get so much feedback and stuff. If you've got anything you want us to cover, anything you want us to chat about, then just drop us an email to stay@deepdalebackpackers.co.uk. The guys will put it through to me. They'll say, Jason, you need to include this, you need to include that. But yeah, just drop us an email. It'd be great to hear from you, and let us know your thoughts, and let us also know really good podcasts that we should be listening. You can subscribe to this podcast really easily. It's available through nearly any podcast subscription service, whether it's Apple, Castbox, where we host it. I know that it's on the Google podcasts as well, or we'll always post them on our website as well, so you can listen directly from our website. But thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you during the October Deepdale podcast. Cheers, guys.
Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, fistful of samphire, sea, lavender, see you next year. you.